Welcome to the Raise Your Bars podcast, where it's all about elevating your life one step at a time. With your hosts, Chris Baker and Al Rattan. Together, we're here to guide you through the transformative journey of self-improvement and success. Have you ever wondered what behaviors and actions you need to change to achieve the results and success you desire in life? Well, you're in the right place. Each episode, we dive deep into the strategies, mindset shifts, and practical steps you can take to raise your bars. From personal development to professional growth, Chris and Al share their expertise, experiences, and the occasional tough love, all designed to empower you to reach your full potential. So, whether you're looking to make a big change or simply fine-tune your path to success, grab a seat and let's raise those bars together. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Chris Baker and Al Rattan.
Well, hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of the Raise Your Bars podcast. I'm here with my good friend, Chris Baker, and we had a little bit of a hiatus. We had a week and a bit off, but we're back in the office, so to speak, and ready to record our next episode. And this one will be, well, I think we'll be putting this one out right away, won't we?
We will.
Yeah, great. So, well, it's good to see you, my friend. I know we've had a little bit of a break. You and your wonderful wife had a great trip.
We did.
And went to Vegas. Did you win anything?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you a millionaire and you didn't tell me yet?
I'm not a millionaire.
Or no?
You would have known. I had a jackpot, but not $1 million.
Oh, okay.
I would have. You would know if I was, because I'd be retired and working with you full time.
There you go. Well, did it at least pay for the trip?
Oh, and some, yes. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's exciting. I should have given you $5 to play to bet on red or something. So all right. Well, today we wrapped a 9-part series a few weeks back, and I hope you all got some value of it from that. And if you haven't, go back and listen. It was a 9-part series on the top 10 reasons people fail. And the reason it was 9 parts is because we were able to cover 2 in one episode.
Yeah.
But now we're going to move on, and we're actually pulling a topic again from the same book, with John Maxwell's book called Failing Forward, which is actually an excellent book. And if you haven't read it, folks, go out, get a copy of John's book and read it. I mean, let's face it, we're all going to experience failure in life, right? There's going to be those bumps in the road that are going to seem insurmountable at times because of what's going on. Yeah.
Well, so we should experience failure. That let me say that, right?
No, I agree.
And I think I've said it before on a podcast, and we definitely said it in trainings, that I'll tell team members of mine and colleagues to say, listen, if you don't fail, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
You're not pushing yourself, you're not stretching, right? And it's John's law of the rubber band, and there's so many things we can pull from. Now, some people don't fail because they just live in that comfort zone and they're happy doing that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I know in my early days of the personal growth and development in 2017, like I had some criticism from some family members of mine that were like, hey, not everybody wants to stretch and push and grow. And I was like, well, you should be doing this. And then I came to the realization that, like, not everybody wants to, and that's okay.
Right. And I think too, I just want to add to that. Yes, not everybody wants to, and it's okay if you don't want to, if you're satisfied and content with your life the way it is and the results you're getting in life. Correct. If there is that internal dissatisfaction with where I am and what where I'm at in life, and quick story here before we get into today's topic, because we're going to talk about persistence and purpose today, which all ties in with what we've been talking about here. Is that so I'll share this. I'm going to be 56 in 6 months. When I turned 30 years old, and you can ask my wife about this. By the way, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Marge.
Happy birthday, Marge.
It's when I was 30 years old, I was sitting in our little basement apartment that we were living in. We had one child at that time, one kid at that time. And I'll tell you, actually wept like ugly cry on my 30th birthday, because when I was 20, 25, and I had all these dreams and these
Mm.
goals, and I'm going to be at this level, and we're going to have a house, and we're going to have the cars, and we're going to be traveling, and we're going to be, all these great things. And meanwhile, I'm in a little dinky basement apartment driving a used car, and nowhere near where I thought I would be in life. And I cried.
Mm.
I was so disappointed with the results I had gotten
Yeah.
with my life up to that point, even though, honestly, Chris, I was working hard. I made some poor choices with some jobs and left certain companies and started with other companies, which caused me to start back over at the bottom rung again and start climbing that ladder. And I was very disappointed with my life. And I actually
Yeah.
would say that I was probably uh, purposeless at that point.
Right.
I just didn't realize it because I hadn't really started that personal growth journey that came later in later years.
Yeah, and I would say similar things, right? And for myself, where I definitely went through that phase, and even till, like, I was 50 when I or 50 turned 50 and coming on actually 51 when I joined Maxwell team, because that's when I started looking and saying there's got to be more to life than this. So it took me longer than it did you, right? And I think there's a lot of people that will never find that, and then
Yeah.
they get to the end of their life and they live in regret. What
Yeah,
if
man.
only, right? And I don't want to be in that. And I
No,
realized I didn't want to be in that. And when I look back at my life, I realized that, yeah, I'd been working hard, um, doing what I thought was the right thing to produce the money, because I was thinking money was what we needed to
yeah,
make life good,
right.
without understanding what a purpose was, right? And that was, again, it was 2016 actually when I came across Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, right, and Find Your Why. And that was the trigger to me, that it was like, holy cow, this is what I've not been doing, right?
I've got to change something if I wanted different results.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what ended up ultimately helping us create bars, right?
Mhm.
Because what we were doing, and what most people do, is they're chasing the results and the success,
Yep.
but they're not looking at what do you do each day to generate that,
Right.
right? And then
Yep.
what we do is we blame our circumstances on bad luck, right? Or other
Yeah,
people,
exactly. This is the
or
hand I've been dealt in life. I can't
yeah,
do anything about it. Well, yes, you can. You have the
exactly.
choice.
Yeah,
And I think too, so I want to just, about our program and bars, right? Like if you're younger or older like we were when we were still struggling with what we were supposed to be doing in life, and you're unsure and you're running a business and maybe you're stuck or stagnant or you've lost the passion for what for when, like, that you had when you first started that business, then reach out to us. We can help. Learn from our mistakes and from our lessons that we've learned hard in life, and avoid some of those
yeah,
by by bringing people around you that have experience in that area that can help you maybe avoid some of those twists and turns in life that come. But this actually ties in well. Everything ties in with what we're talking about today. And we're going to talk about the power of persistence. And I think I got to get it back up somewhere. I still have it, I think, in my closet. But I had, remember
yeah,
back in the day, Chris, I
yeah,
had that poster behind my camera here that said persistence, not giving up until you succeed.
yeah,
And that if there's anything that Chris and I have in abundance is persistence. Um, we know we've got a great program. We haven't had the results that we would like in converting to clients in a lot of cases that we expected to have by this point. But man, we know we can help people, and we are persistent until that time happens. So just going to read a section of the book, Chris, and then get this is on the power of persistence, and then we'll get to the first. There's going to be 4 parts to this podcast series, and we're going to talk about the different points that will help us um encourage us with stamina and resilience to face failure in life, because failure is going to happen. So John says, more than anything else, what keeps a person going in the midst of adversity is having a sense of purpose. It is the fuel that powers persistence. So if we don't have that sense of purpose, guess what? We're just going to continue like I was doing before my 30th birthday, and even actually for years afterwards. I'll be honest, right? It didn't change overnight, folks. I was kind of just like Napoleon Hill says, drifting through life, no real sense of purpose, no real, no real goals. And now we have that purpose. So that's fueling our persistence.
Yeah. Yeah. And this comes back to the microwave society, right? That we talk about, where unfortunately, and it's something that's leveled at millennials and Gen Zs, but it's intergenerational, right? If we're honest about it, we want things handed to us and we want things now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the reality is, the truth is that something worthwhile will not be handed to you on a silver platter, right? And it won't come overnight. All these musicians, pops or whatever that make it success, and people go, gosh, you're an overnight success, you've come from nowhere, and they've actually worked for 10, 15, 20 years, right? To look at that. I know I heard a story about Bon Jovi when they were sort of trying to get known in New Jersey, and John Bon Jovi would go around to all the radio stations dropping off like demo tapes, and he would be doing all this work, and then suddenly they became famous, and again it was like overnight success. It's like, no, look at what he's been doing for all these years, right? Yeah. And he was relentless and persistent in doing those behaviors and the actions every day. Did he want to do it every day? Was there some days where he got up and he said, why am I doing this? Probably there were. But his purpose and his desire carried him forward to be persistent.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why do we do what we do? What are we aiming for, and why is that so important to us, right? And if you don't know that, it's the GPS example, right? It's like you pick up a GPS and you say, you were talking about going on a road trip to Alberta in later this year, right? And if you just got your GPS and you went, okay, let's press go, but you haven't put in where you want to go, and you don't know why you want to go there and why it's important. It may be that and this wouldn't happen with a GPS, but let's say you wanted to go to Alberta and you put it in and it showed up, and it showed, well, Alberta's like a pretty tough trip, but do you know what, there's, I don't know what other city, like say Montreal is like a lot easier to get to, and you go, oh well, let's go to Montreal instead.
Yeah.
Right. In a way,
you Americans don't know Canadian geography, because Montreal is much further away than.
But that's what I say. But the point, right, is that if you don't know, and you're not fixed, and you've not got that burning desire to get to where you want to get to, and why is that so important? Right. What will happen is you will settle for other things that are easier.
Exactly.
But then you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about this many times. The last thing I want to do is be sitting there at 80 years old on my rocking chair on my front porch going, oh, I've wasted my life. I have all this regret. Why would I want to live in misery with regret for the what days I would have left?
Exactly.
Instead of saying, and I look at Brian Tracy. Okay, Brian Tracy's got to be like 85 years old, right? The guy's still putting out content. I see videos of him online all the time. Right? He's still doing what he loves to do, living his life on purpose. And folks, if you don't know your purpose, you're going to fall into the trap of drifting. You really need to discover that purpose. So, and again, when we have that purpose, that fuels the persistence so we can keep going. And I want to read one more thing here, Chris. So, John quotes business consultant Paul Stoltz, who did an extensive study on what it takes for individuals to persist through setbacks. Okay. So according to Stoltz, the most important ingredient in persistence is this. And Stoltz says, identifying your mountain, your purpose in life, so that the work you do is meaningful, right? Are we finding fulfillment and meaningfulness in what we are putting our hand to? Okay.
Right.
He goes on to say, I run into people every day who are basically climbing the wrong mountain. People who have spent 20 years or more of their lives doing something that has no deep purpose for them. Suddenly they look back and go, what have I been doing? That's sad. That's tragic. That's
Right.
tragic.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, I mean, there's probably a number of reasons people get trapped into doing something they didn't want to do. I think, parental influence, right? You need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer. There's a history of, lawyers in our family or doctors in our family. So you need to be one, you need to carry on that history. Meanwhile, the kid wants to be a musician or an artist or whatever else it is, or work in retail, right? And you find yourself living somebody else's life.
Right.
It was not your destiny to be doing that, but you ended up falling into that trap. And again, that's going to cause that regret later in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, are you living your life for you, or are you living it for somebody else? Are you doing what you want to do, or are you doing what other people want you to do? And sometimes it can go the other way. And if I'm honest about it, like in my time, I effectively rebelled in against my parents, if you like. And I look back now and I think, like, why didn't they talk to me and say, what are you doing? Right? You're throwing your life away. And they may have done, right? But I was probably in that state of mind where I was like, I'm just going to singularly focus. I'm going to go and do this, right?
Right.
And I have regrets. I have regrets about things that happened in my life and the path it took. But I'm also schooled enough, if you like, in personal growth to realize that, it's never too late to change that.
Exactly.
Right?
Really
I'm not
isn't.
in a dead end. I'm just on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you can change that route if you know where you want to get to, and if you know why that place is so important and so special to you. I know I'm repeating that again, but it really is that simple, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's easy, because working out what your purpose is and what your passion is and everything, it can be scary too, right?
Absolutely.
And fear is one of the biggest reasons why people don't do that. Right?
And if you've been climbing that mountain for 20 years and you're turning around, look around, oh my goodness, I'm on the wrong mountain. Do you really want, that's terrifying too. Do I really want to go back and climb that other one again? Do I have the energy, the desire, the will to actually start over?
Well, and to use your mountain analogy there, right? When you climb in a mountain, if the mountain is big enough, right, you'll get to where you think is the top, and you'll get there, and then guess what? There's another one, right? And sometimes people can get there and go, oh, I don't want to go there again. Yeah. Well, again, that means that the purpose is not strong enough, right?
Yeah.
But the success is in the journey. It's not in the destination, right? So when we set this purpose and when we set these big, scary, audacious visions of what we want in our future, it probably should be unrealistic, not like, SMART goals or ghost goals that we teach on. They should be achievable, but they're stepping stones toward this grand vision that maybe is unachievable, because you don't want to arrive at your destination. Because if you do, what next? What do you do then?
I've arrived, now I can coast. But no.
Right. Or do you die? I don't know. It's like, John talks about that, John Maxwell, right? Where and one of my favorite books by Simon Sinek that I'm actually doing book study on next quarter with Leader Academy is The Infinite Game. Yes. He talks about where most people have got a finite goal that they're aiming for, or finite results. But business life, it's an infinite game. There is no finish line. Yeah. So think about that in your own life, right? And think about it. And this is for the listeners. Think about what are you aiming for, right? What is your purpose? Right. And have you set yourself a finish line, or is it something that is going to keep you going and keep that persistence going, that gives you that enthusiasm, that keeps the momentum going, that gives you the drive to want to get up every morning, to want to do something, right? Or are you coasting? Are you drifting through life, right?
Talking about this kind of reminds me of a story, because I've good friends of ours. We've known their kids since birth. We've known them for 30 years, right? And their oldest daughter, who went through school and thought she wanted to be a doctor and went off to university and spent, I think, a year, maybe 2 years, and realized, you know what, this is not what I want to do with my life. And she quit. And good for her. Good
Mm.
for her.
Mm.
Since then, she's bought a flower shop. She bought it with a partner and then grew it and then bought out her partner. And now she's the sole owner. And I would say that they're probably the number one florist in the area, with the kind of volume that she's doing in the bit. And you know what? Good for her. And she's
Right.
like stressed out, busy all the time. And, but she loves it. She loves it.
Right.
To the point where she was able to buy out her partner and continue to grow the business.
Yeah.
So good for her. She developed, hey, look, I think I want to do this. You get into it, caught it early enough. Oh, this is not for me. Right? Change direction, change course, and now doing this. So just as we wrap up here, we'll just read this and then final thoughts. So John talks about, if you're purpose driven naturally, then great. You probably don't even need this. You can skip this podcast and go on. But if you're not, then maybe you need a little bit of help. And John recommends this. Use the following steps to help you develop a desire. Number 1, get next to people who possess great desire. Get around others that are excited for life, that have those big, audacious goals that they're working towards, right? Because their excitement about their purpose in life will hopefully ignite a spark within you to discover your purpose in life and start moving forward.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. Develop discontent with the status quo. So many people get into that routine in life that is producing no results.
Yeah.
I get up, I go to work, I come home, I eat my dinner, I sit down on the couch, I go to bed, I get up and go, that's my life. Ho hum, poor little me, right?
Well, it's producing results, but is it producing the results that you want?
Fair
right?
enough. Fair enough. It's paying bills, but it's not really producing that life within you, right?
Right.
I would say, John, you're right. John talks about that. It's like a lot of these people that are drifting through life are dead. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Search for a goal that excites you. What's going to spark that fire? Put your most vital possessions into that goal and visualize yourself enjoying the reward of that goal.
Yeah.
Chris and I often talk about the vacations with him and Vicky and me and Marge on the beaches of the world.
Yeah.
Celebrating our clients, celebrating success, having workshops in resorts around the world. Cruises, a Raise Your Bars cruise, right? Like we are visualizing that. And because we're visualizing that and how both of us think and what we believe, we're putting that out, it's going to come back. We will achieve it.
Right.
It's just a matter of time. We just need to keep the persistence up until that happens. Okay, Chris, final thoughts.
So I think that gosh, there's so much, right? We could talk for hours on this, and I don't want to like oversimplify it and make people think that it's easy, right? Saying that we've covered it in 20, 22, 25 minutes, right?
Mountain climbing
because this is not an easy thing to do, right? The process is relatively simple. And it definitely helps if you've got other people around you helping, because they will keep you accountable, right, to yourself, and make sure that you're doing it. You're going deep enough, because it's easy to sort of skim the surface and go, oh yeah, this is my purpose and I'm doing it, right? Okay, go 5-7 levels deep with why is that important? Why would that make a difference? Why do you really want to do that, and how will it make you feel when you live in that life, and so on? That's where people fall down, right? Because we don't like talking about feelings and emotions and so on, right?
Right.
Certainly with other people, but even with ourselves, right? Because again, it can be scary, and we're fearful of trying something new in case we fail, right? But remember that failure is good if you learn from it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would say an exercise and activity that again we've talked about before, but it's so worthwhile, is to follow effectively that 4th step that John was talking about in his book there that Al mentioned. Look at, if you could design and create your ideal life, what would that look like? What would it feel like? Right? Why would that be important? What difference would it make in your life? What difference would it make to those that you love? Right? Why would that be such a fantastic life to be living? And look at it in as much detail as you can. Right. So, would it be like going on vacations? What would your house look like? What would your cars look like? Who would be around you? Right. Who's the family? Who's the friends? What would you do for fun? Yeah, how are you giving back to other people? How does that give you fulfillment and meaning in your life? Right. And really, really dig into that. And it's something that we're not taught to do. Right. So
No, absolutely
it
not.
will be tough. Right. It will be tough. And when you're doing it, write it down, right? And noodle on it for weeks, right? And just keep adding to it, And if you've got a significant other, talk to them about it and say,
Yeah.
what do you like? What would your life look like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to have your significant other buy into the dream that you have and make sure you're both on the same page, because that energy is going to pull things
Right.
together a lot more for you.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We went a little bit longer than we normally do today, but thanks for sticking with us. I hope you got some value out of this episode. Again, please connect with us on social media. Look for Raise Your Bars on Facebook and connect with us on our business page. And again, share this with friends, family, coworkers. We really appreciate that. Go have an amazing day, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Raise Your Bars podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please consider sharing it with your family, friends, and coworkers. We would sincerely appreciate it.